Greetings, iOS Nation. This is Renee from Tippy.com. Welcome to our weekly podcast focused on everything iPhone, from news and how-tos to app and accessory reviews. This is iPhone Live.
iPhone Live is brought to you by Hover. Please visit hover.com/Tippy to get 10% off your domain name registrations.
It's Wednesday, October 12, and joining us tonight, the co-host of Iterate.tv and the CIO of Nickelfish, Seth Clifford. How you doing, Seth?
I'm doing well, Renee. I'm a little tired, but I'm all right.
Also joining us, my co-host from iPad Live and ZenonTech.tv, our very own Dark Lord of the Sith, Georgia. How are you doing?
Perhaps not as charming as Seth is today, but I think I'm doing pretty good.
So this is take two. We were recording the show and busy making fun of Apple's servers not keeping up with the demand for iOS, OS 10, and everything else, and then we had a little server failure. So we
didn't that bite you in the
ass? Yeah. I mean, RIM, Apple, Tippy. At least we're in auspicious company, right? At least when we're failing with a crowd.
Oh yeah.
Can I say how awesome our chat room is? Because through that entire tumultuous period, we actually just gained viewership. They like us better when we're off the air.
No, actually what happened was I saw a bunch of them get out and help us push.
They did. They're good people.
Except for Stock Rowlett. He said that he was supervising. Something about a back injury. I'm not sure. So let's start this thing over. Rewind, reassess, reset. Apple released iOS 5. They didn't just release iOS 5. They started off teasing us early in the morning. iCloud.com went live. The Find My Friends app came out. And then what was the other app that came out? Oh, yeah, the assistant for
Airport utility.
Yep. The airport utility came out. And just about almost on schedule, 10 a.m. Cupertino daylight time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, iOS 5 hit. And I'm going to excuse myself for a minute and just say that we had to get up our iOS 5 walkthrough. It's like 100,000. It's a ridiculous amount of words. I don't even want to count the words anymore, but I got very little sleep in the last 3 days. So I'm going to make even less sense than usual. But I want to get your guys' assessment of it. I'm going to give mine really quickly because everyone in the chat room just heard me give it 10 minutes ago. So to me, this is the biggest update since iOS 2, which was App Store and Mobile Me. This is doing Siri, which is artificially intelligent voice control. It's actually a whole new user interface. As much as multi-touch was, this is another paradigm shift in interfaces. And it is iCloud, which is taking a lot of the stuff you did locally on your device and putting it up on Apple's servers, while at the same time sort of abstracting it. They're totally getting rid of the file system, and your documents now live in apps instead of regular computers. Yet they've made it more granular. You have more control over privacy, over sharing location, over what data is stored on your device, and they've made it more tactile. You can now actually grab calendar events and move them around with your fingers and move email addresses around and gesture your way through the iPad 2 interface. So it's become much more personal and intimate at the same time, Georgia. And I'm having a hard time reconciling this ginormous cloud power Apple with this teeny-weeny little, very personal best buddy Apple. And my thinking is like Mark Edwards said on Iterate last night, that Apple is almost doing away. It's their last step in mainstreaming the computer. They're doing away with the computer and making it like your best buddy. The guy who went to college to study calligraphy and make beautiful typography and lickable interfaces, his last big act, Steve Jobs' last big act, was to kind of obsolete the last 30 years of Apple.
Now, does this make my phone more or less secure? Because the idea of having everything stored on iCloud and then having everyone be able to find me and all of my pictures are just automatically streamed to everything kind of freaks me out a little.
Yeah, if you're Blake Lively, you're in a lot of trouble.
Actually, if I'm Blake Lively, I'm already in a whole bunch of trouble, and I don't think she really cares. At that stage, any press is good press. Yeah. And she looked pretty good. If not, take a look. We have one of the posts up.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing, and we mentioned before that I'm asking you this question under the shadow of you putting up a blog post saying why I'm not upgrading to iOS 5, which got you a couple people saying, "Yeah, I get it. I see where you're coming from. I feel you. I feel you, Georgia." But most of the Tippy Nation lost their collective shirts over it.
People really care whether or not I'm updating, and I thought, like, wow, like people are really strong for this iOS 5. Which could be, one is that they truly believe in it. Two, can't stand the fact that I'm doing it because I want to hold on to my jailbreak, and they feel that that is lame reason for not deciding to update. And I think that everyone's a little bit emotional after Steve passing, so I think that that's also kind of increased people's affinity for Apple, because if someone trashes on Apple right now, I think that everyone will just go flash mob
You didn't
and
trash
destroy
on them. You just said that you were going to wait until they had a really nicely packaged untethered jailbreak.
Yeah, and that's going to be soon. It's not like I don't want to. It's just I'm going to wait until I can have my cake and eat it too.
Chat room wants you to be pure again.
Do they really?
Maybe they're messing with you.
Yeah, so I'm waiting it out.
Did you update, Seth?
I actually couldn't.
Careful, Seth.
Careful what? I'm not updating right now. That wasn't my fault.
Oh, yeah, so what happened with that?
I had some problems today. So I was able to get my laptop updated in preparation for iCloud. And I don't want to jump ahead too far, so I'm not going to get into that. I couldn't download the iPad update, and I had the GM on my phone, and I thought, okay, let me just do a whole clean restore. I'll just go straight out clean. I'll get the full release. I'll put that on there. Start fresh. It'll be a whole new day. Couldn't do anything. Kept getting internal errors, which apparently was something that a lot of people were getting, which apparently internal means Apple's internal. I thought it meant my phone, and I started to freak out. But internal...
My phone is sick!
Yeah, internal means Apple's internal servers couldn't handle the load, I found out later. So I felt a little bit better about that. But my biggest problem is that I have a deep-seated neurosis that stems from not having the actual release when it comes out. And the reason I say this is because the build number of the GM and the build number of the release that came out today is exactly the same. I don't know if there's
Are they bit for bit identical, Seth? Do you know? Are they bit for bit?
I don't know, and that's the thing that's going to eat away at me. That's why I have to do it. I don't know if
there might be some tasty little treat that other people are able to enjoy on their phone that you cannot.
I know. It drives me crazy. So I still have the GM on there. Hopefully either later tonight or tomorrow morning I'll be able to wipe and put the real deal on there. But man, I had a rough day with updating.
Jeremy had the same. But there are some people who believe, whether it's the same build or not, that they're not going to get the same updates because now it's all over the year updates. That there's just something that Apple's going to know they still have the GM and not the real one. But I also think that there's this thing where it's sort of like Christmas. Sometimes you get your present early and you're happy because no one else has their present yet, and you're showing off like Eddie Murphy with his ice cream that you have your present. And then Christmas Day comes and everyone else gets their present, and you don't have anything to unwrap, so you try to wrap your present back up again and put it underneath the tree so just so you can be part of the unwrapping come Christmas Day.
Yeah, you wanna be part of the fun. And like I said, the first time we tried this show, you don't want to be the guy on Twitter who's like, whatever guys, GM's pretty much the same, and I've had that for a couple days, so I don't know what you're all getting, twisted up about. First. I wish I was first. I'd have it on there by now.
The cynic in me also noticed just how much they've integrated the store into everything. I mean, you go into settings and you can buy more storage. You go into the music app and you can hit the iTunes store. You go into the newsstand and you can hit the special newsstand store. You go into Game Center and you can buy games. It's sort of like before there was just the iTunes store and just the App Store, and now they are everywhere.
Yeah.
I think they've done a great idea. I love the idea that you can buy the games right from Game Center. And the chat room went wild with the split keyboard. Because it's true, when I'm holding my iPad and say, like, I'm better, I'm lying down, it's nice to be able to just type it all up with your thumbs. So that actually is really helpful.
So anything stand out at you, Seth? Any favorite features that you noticed or that you're looking forward to or that you've been enjoying so far?
I really like not just Notification Center, but I really like the way the notifications show up and kind of spin down from the top. I like that kind of so much better than just the pop-ups kind of incessantly bugging me. But
Right, 'cause they're not intrusive, right, Seth?
yeah, they're not. They're just up at the top and you can totally ignore them. The thing I don't like is that I wish I could dismiss them because sometimes I actually want to hit like a button to go back in an app and I have to wait until it's done spinning. I wish I could just kind of like swipe it away or...
Right. You try to go underneath it and hit the edge of that button, then you end up in the Messages app.
Yeah, I mean, I have, little girlish hands, so I can usually manage it, but it's still annoying. But, yeah, I mean, Notification Center is solid. Actually, the one other gripe I have about it is that when you're configuring it, it says you can have like 5 or 10 notifications for each app. Like, why isn't it just all? Like, since you can scroll infinitely, why can't I just see all of the things that have come in since the last time I checked? Because isn't that kind of what Notification Center is for? Like, they just decide, oh, these last 10 are the most important. What if you had a really important one that was the 11th one?
It's like, it's Seth's entire thing failed because message 11 wasn't shown.
Well, I don't think that they know, I don't know if they expect that people get that many messages, but it's true. A lot of people get really important, especially if you're, heading, nickel fish. But, you're doing a lot of work. You're getting a lot of messages from many different people. Yeah, it would be nice to be able to scroll through everything. Plus, I think it would be nice to be able to reply without actually having to launch. Because it might be just something really simple. It's important, but I just want to write okay.
You mean like byte SMS?
And then,
yeah.
So that would be nice as well.
The day that Notification Center will probably be perfect for me. I could even deal with the 10 limit, but I need settings in there. I need like Bluetooth on off, Wi-Fi on off, airplane mode. Like that should be in here,
Right.
And the media controls. Why are the media controls in that experiment that is Fast App Switcher?
Yeah. But your question to me was, what am I using and what am I liking? It's overall a lot of fun to use. Like, all the little tweaks that are in there are a much more pleasurable experience. Like, I haven't really found myself using reminders that much, but then I'm thinking like, well, maybe Siri will change that when I get the new phone. Like, I all of the other kinds of updates are like, yeah, that's cool. I like that, but I'm still using my core apps, more than anything.
What is tempting you the most, George? I know you're not upgrading, but are there any features that are really tempting you to make the switch? Is it Siri? Is that going to be the one?
Siri's huge. Siri's huge for me. I am completely stoked for that, to be able to just I really want to practice to be able to make it, to use it seamlessly, so that, yes, I said seamlessly.
Drink.
So I can I can drive,
sorry.
and I can so I can drive and message and hear things come back and just ask about the weather and do other things. So I think Siri is one of the biggest features for me. iMessages is also a pretty good feature. I think that really does put 20 cents a text to write the letter K and send it off, 20 cents. I think that really does put it down to the carriers. Which
I'm just wondering if you want your text messages on your iPad, because like your phone is very personal. You have it with you, and your iPad is sort of like, especially if you have a family, it's communal. So like your kid is there playing Angry Birds, and suddenly your husband's a little bit playful, and these text messages start popping up. And
I would definitely cut it off to being on all of my devices. I would turn that off.
Or maybe make a second account, like have an iMessage account that's for family devices. It's different than, because you don't have to, on your iPhone you can choose to put an email address to have that kind of iMessage, or you can just use your phone. So I'm thinking it might behoove some people to have a secondary email address for their non-personal devices.
Yeah.
The same thing with the cloud when you're taking photos and then it goes to all other things. Some people might get into a little trouble.
You're a Hollywood starlet. You want to send your boyfriend a little surprise. Meanwhile, boyfriend's mom and dad are watching the Apple TVs. The screensaver comes on, and all your nudie pics start floating up across the background.
Oh my God, seriously, think about it. Like if Scarlett Johansson wants to take more naked pictures of herself and they go right to iCloud, somebody doesn't even have to have her phone anymore. They can just hack the iCloud account.
And you can't delete stuff from PhotoStream. Like you can delete stuff from your camera roll, but the stuff in PhotoStream is there for 30 days or 1,000 pictures.
Oh
So you got to
man.
take 999 pictures of a rock to get that picture of your butt off your Apple TV
But the
and iPad.
wonderful thing is that, and I take photos of absolutely everything. I go photo crazy. I just actually deleted 100 photos of stuff that I really don't need. So you're going to be able to just take it right from the lock screen, not have to open it up, and that it will be fast. That's going to be nice.
Yeah, and use the volume buttons as a hardware shutter control.
Oh, I use that every day.
So nice.
That's one of my
And a
favorites.
headset as a remote shutter.
You can
That
do
is
that?
awesome. Yeah, you plug in your iPhone headset, and then you go and you press the volume up button, and it takes a picture.
That's awesome.
I wonder if it would work over Bluetooth, too, if you hit the Bluetooth volume up to take a picture. I have to try that.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And the camera also, you fast access to it. You can lock the exposure and the focal point. You were tweeting some pictures of that, Seth. Yeah, editing.
Leanna was really excited about that stuff.
Well, because she's a
Which
big
is so nice.
Yeah.
To be able to edit it right away and not have to, like I'll often, if it's a photo that I actually want to send out, like, you have to open Photoshop, or if you have to, send it down and deal with something. That's really nice to be able to do it right on your phone.
I'm going to go through some of this stuff in order just so that we don't miss too much, and I'll bring our little friend, the computer, back online. So, documents in the cloud. This is not really a Dropbox killer. This is just Apple's way of developing. Like if you write a document or make a spreadsheet, it can correspond to a program on your computer. I'm going to keep using Dropbox. Seth, are you going to give up Dropbox for this?
Yeah, you'd have to pry Dropbox out of my cold, dead grip.
Cold, dead hands.
Yeah.
Find My Friends. It's very different than Find My iPhone. Some people are asking if it replaces Find My iPhone, and it does not. Find My iPhone is all about if you misplace your devices, you can wipe them. You can make them chime so you can find them. You can send them messages. This is about finding your friends, and it's got kind of two streams. So you have actual friends, like if I want to keep track of my kids, or I want my husband or my wife to always know where I am, I can make them a permanent friend, and I know that they're 10 miles away, and I can find them on a map if I have to. But you also have this idea of temporary friends. So, if Seth is in town and George and I are trying to find him, he can share his location with us for an hour, and we can get to exactly where he is. And that's kind of interesting because they're going to great pains to make it social, but to say, no, we're not doing like the Google Latitude thing. We're not making you share everything. You get to control at a very granular person by person, hour by hour limit what they get to see.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you can turn it on for a certain period of time and then it just turns off on its own, so that you don't have to kind of deal with that. And I think it is quite a useful application. I get lost almost anywhere, so it is actually nice that someone can kind of help me travel around. But again, the amount of details that we are giving up freely, it's a little bit, I don't know, slightly creepy.
If you're PC free, this I love. This is one of my favorite features. So you now no longer have to tether to iTunes to set up your iPhone, your iPad, your iPod Touch. You open it up and you get this welcome screen. And the thing that I found the most interesting about this is you have to make all these choices. Like you can globally enable or disable location services and choose your language and choose your residence. And Apple use iCloud backup, and Apple doesn't pre-populate this. They make you actually read it and check the one that you want before they'll let you next. You can't just go next, and take defaults. There are none.
This setup process has gotten a lot better too, because from the first beta, it was interesting to see it, and you were kind of like, wow, it's cool. And then now, like the last iteration of it is so comprehensive and so easy to step through, and everything is like a little bit clearer than it was. So it's actually a really great experience when you're starting your phone, because there's a lot of kind of wizards like this that walk you through starting up a new phone, and some of them can be kind of confusing because they don't really explain all the choices you're given. They kind of just say like, here's some things, what do you want to do? And you're like, well, I don't know, can I come back to this later? And this stuff is all kind of innocuous. Like, yes, you need to choose things, but at no point do you feel like, oh man, if I choose the wrong thing, this isn't going to work at all, because everything's kind of clearly outlined in settings, settings app after that. So you can always go back in and flip switches to your heart's content.
Yeah, and the restore from iCloud is, I've done it so often. I must have done it 30 times by now, as I kept testing different settings and documenting it for this walkthrough. And it is just so nice. You just type in your iCloud username and password, and it just downloads all your settings, all your stuff. If it's a new device, it'll make you put your passwords in again, so you do have that level of security, but just everything comes back on your device. And if you're in an area that has iTunes on the cloud, even your music, and in the US, your TV shows, your iBooks will be automatically re-downloaded.
We talked a lot about the music, Renee, how it's nice that, it's all there and you can take a look through it. Because there's nothing like losing all your, like I think that there's like 2 songs that I've actually like paid for twice or 3 times because I've lost it. So yeah, that's going to be a nice benefit, I think, for a lot of people.
We were looking at it today, and I was just joking with Georgia, wondering how many songs I had in iTunes, because my library at home is tiny. There's like 600 songs in there, and I haven't seen any of them for years. It was like a Renee and his music reunion.
Which is nice. You can just go through it, and yeah.
Here's Apple's iTunes. Because sorry, not iTunes, but for the first time, iOS is only half the story. iCloud is this other massive release, just as big, but not as, but much more ethereal than iOS. And they've done up a video for that as well.
With iCloud, when you buy a song on one device, it instantly downloads to all your others. Take a picture here, and it shows up there. Start a project in one place, and pick up right where you left off in another. Capture the moment here, and it's waiting for you there. Make a change on this, and it updates on that. And with iCloud, it all works automatically and wirelessly. So you always have the things you want exactly where you want them.
So that is iCloud. It doesn't get anywhere near the feature, like the video promo. It doesn't get the Scott Forstall treatment. It doesn't get to say, I looked in iCloud's eyes and asked it, how are you doing? None of that. Are you going to use iCloud, Seth?
Yeah, I will. I won't use it for everything because I don't really use the me.com website for very much, but I know that I'll definitely use it for backups because it's just way too convenient. I mean, especially, I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to be traveling a bit more, in the future. And one of the things when I do travel for more than like a day or two at a time that I always have to consider is like, oh man, if I go away and my phone just completely, dies on me, I'm going to have to restore from somewhere. And I used to bring a laptop, and now that would be awesome because I could basically sit on hotel Wi-Fi and do an iCloud restore like overnight and just let it go and not have to worry about it if something like really bad happened to my phone while I was away from my computer. So that's one thing that I'm definitely looking forward to. Georgia,
you are my I don't know what the right word is, but you're usually the anti Big Brother, anti-internet, anti-sharing, anti-anything that is exchanging privacy for convenience. Is there any aspect of, I know you mentioned iTunes and the cloud and your music, but is there any other aspect of iCloud you're interested in?
I'm interested, yet a little bit freaked out over it storing my photos just because I have so very many of them. So being able to store things is just nice. Being able to free up your phone so that it can run smoothly and you're not going to be inundated with things is, I think, something that I will, though it kind of gives me a little bit of an icky feeling, I'll probably end up using.
The heebie-jeebies.
And yeah, just touch. But I think that, not saying that I trust Apple, but I don't think that they would be, want and or care to anyone to steal or sell my photos. So it's pretty much secure in that.
Because I did this article a couple days ago called the customer insight play, and like usually you say you trust Apple because their business is in eyeballs. Google's business is selling us to advertisers, so we're always wary. Like they scan our Gmail. Sure, we get free Gmail, but they scan it and put ads in there. But with Siri, Apple is now intermediating Google. They started doing this with apps because instead of going to the web, you would go to the app, and that cuts into Google's search business, which cuts into Google's money stream. And now instead of going to Google, you're going to go to Siri, and you're going to say, Siri, find me this on the internet. And all Google will see is Apple queries. They won't see individual queries anymore. And that's analogous to how like a Quickie Mart works. If Seth goes in to buy a tasty beverage at the Quickie Mart, Coke knows that Quickie Mart sold a Coke, but they have no idea that Seth bought it. So then Quickie Mart can turn around and sell that data back to Coke and say, we'll tell you about your customers. And they can sell that data to Lay's and say, we'll tell you about the people buying Coke in case you want to sell them chips. And they can sell it to Pepsi and say, hey, this is how your competitor is doing. And there's all sorts of data mining and customer insight and segmentation and market basket that you can run on that. And it starts to turn your customers into your products and your suppliers into your customers. It just turns your whole business. Is there any concern that Apple might get into it? And if they do we really care?
I think that it's something that we should definitely be aware of. I think that in the end, anonymity is something that's going to be hard to come by. And once something is out on the net, it's always there, especially for the new generation, which has pretty much grown up in showing everything to anyone and telling every minute detail about their lives. It really could come back and bite you. So I think that we have to kind of be aware of what we're doing and who has access to what, especially when even Apple, who's relatively straightforward, but you take a look at your user agreement and 65 pages of, oh my God, there's no way that I'm ever going to read this. Did you read this? Yes, of course, because I have no choice to go on. So it's kind of, a forced hand.
Guys, just pause for 1 second. They're saying it's choppy. I'm just going to try and switch back to Ethernet and see if that improves it.
Yeah, I actually just sent you a quick message. I didn't know if you were seeing that.
See if this works.
This day is doomed!
Okay, we're back on Ethernet, so we're going to see if that helps.
The video was getting chopped up too.
Gone. Everyone says gone. Poof.
Let's see.
And gone. Freeze.
Hold on. We'll start this again. And we'll see if today's not going well.
Nah.
That's hilarious. They're like, and we have to start over again. I'm like, that's not happening.
Today is a day of first class fail.
So they can see. What I'm guessing is there's so many people around the world sucking down so much Apple data. There's very little left for us tonight.
Yeah.
Apple share.
So let's go over that. I mean, you touched on it briefly, Seth. All these people are trying to download iOS 5 and OS 10 7.2 and all the iCloud components, all the apps that have been updated for PhotoStream and iCloud. And it started off okay, but it rapidly spun 360 and curled up in a fetal position.
Yeah, it's hard to think that even with all of the prep work that they probably do and the massive, architecture of the CDN that they're probably using to push all these files around, that it's still as hard as it is to get the update on the day when it's released because everybody is pounding the servers. Like, I guess it just comes down to, just too much getting shoved through the same channels, but it's kind of hard to imagine that if anybody can do it, Apple can. If anybody can do it, they should be able to serve this stuff up and figure out a way like to make these updates just super super smooth. But I think what we're all kind of talking over is that this is probably going to be the last time that we have to update the full OS this way for a while. I'm not going to say ever, because obviously if an entirely new OS like iOS 6 comes out, it'll probably require a download and install, but this initial download of the full, package is probably going to be the last time we do this for a while because of the over-the-air updates.
I think that is absolutely true. We're going to keep going in a second, but first, we actually have a sponsor on this show. No, I shouldn't say that, surprised. We have a sponsor for the show tonight. We are being sponsored by Hover.com, which is serendipitous because a while ago I was looking for a new domain registrar because the people with the sexy babes all over their page were just not doing it for me. And all the other companies, I try them, and I'd have to deselect checkbox after checkbox. No, I don't want your spammy privacy thing. I don't want your spammy this upsell, that. Leave me. Can I please check? Oh, I got to go through page after page of upsell just to buy domains. So I heard about Hover.com, and I went there, and we actually bought Iterate.tv, ZenandTech.tv, and SuperFunctional.tv on Hover, and I gave it money, and it gave me domains, and it was so serene. It was like an oasis on the internet that I have since convinced several other iOS related people to try it, and they are all loving it. So they are giving Tippy listeners, iPhone Live listeners, iPad Live listeners, a special offer. If you go to hover.com/Tippy, that's /TIPB, same as the site, you will get 10% off a domain. And I urge you to at least go there and look at it and compare it to whatever registrar you are using now. It is like the iOS. It is like the iPhone next to that other Verizon phone with 9 million logos all over it and crapware everywhere. So check it out, hover.com/Tippy, TIPB.
Which is nice because it can be quite a stressful experience having to purchase and find everything. So it'll make it easier for you as well.
Oh God, you could do an entire Zen and Tech on registering domains.
Now she will.
Right. Right. No, you can just head on over and you don't even have to worry.
So
and 10% off is sweet.
Where do we go from here? I mean, the internet disappointed me. I was expecting to open up Twitter and start to see iOS 6 rumors. I mean, they completely failed me. Apple has had a tradition of not having very good .0 builds. I mean, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. These all cause major problems for people. 5 feels kind of good. I don't feel like they have to rush out with a 5.0.1.
Well, I think that, it will, I guess it'll depend on how everything goes down, but it's absolutely huge. There's a lot of things that people have been really waiting for, and I think that they're getting it with this. Like just the idea I think they really took a look at the things that the community, and I think the jailbreak community had something, I know, don't spam me, had something to do with the way in which Apple was able to know where people wanted to go with their phones. And they really did take us there. Maybe not all the way there, but a good way.
Seth, do you need a 5.0.1 or even a 5.1 soon?
I don't think so. I think that the last GM build fixed all the little quirks that I was noticing. So I've been pretty stable for the couple of days that I've been running it. So it's probably fine. But they probably already have that cooking anyway, and it'll just drop at some point over the air, and we'll all freak out because it'll be the first official OTA update.
The thing that's interesting is that usually we got the new iOS in June, and then when they introduced the new iPod Touch, we'd get the 0.1. and the point one would always have a few extra little features to make it special, for the fall announcement.
Mhm.
But now there's not going to be a fall announcement, and there's no guarantee. Like we're not obviously not going to get 5.1 in the fall because it's already the fall. So it's like the undiscovered country all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think we also probably, before we write off a .1 or a .01, we probably need to wait and see what happens when the hardware actually hits the millions of hands that it's going to be in, because little things like the bluish tint you saw with your camera, things like that can happen regardless of how flawless everything is, and those kinds of things can be rectified with little updates too.
So that's actually a beautiful.
But isn't the bluish tinge more of a, like the actual hardware, not a software issue?
Mine got fixed when I updated the firmware. At least it's not perfect, but it's way better than it was before.
Yeah, I mean that's probably a bad example, but there are little issues that they've fixed that way in the past with little dot releases. So with the massive influx of new, the hardware and everybody's using it, I'm sure we're going to see blog posts on, hey, is this happening to your iPhone? Because it happens every year.
Yeah. Oh, it's already started.
Yes, for sure. Our bug posts go crazy.
Right.
So that's an excellent segue. iOS 5 was only one part of this dance. iCloud was the other. The third part is iPhone 4S. It comes out in 2 days. Let's just do a quick round the room. Seth, are you getting it? And if so, how?
Yes, sir. I'm getting it. I'm actually getting a bunch of them because around the office, a lot of us either are excited for it or desperately needing a new phone. And I'm actually really excited because so many people that didn't have iPhones are going to have really bright, shiny, spanking new ones. And I'm going to get a lot of use out of iMessage and Find My Friends. And I was able to actually work through our Apple business rep, who is an absolute rock star and just one of the coolest guys ever, and he's helping me out with that, so I didn't have to really worry about staying up too late and breaking my own personal internet and sanity trying to get all those phones for everybody.
Nice. Georgia, getting it and how?
I am still on the fence. I'm going to see.
What
Leaning towards no.
Tell me your thought process. What's got you on that fence? Is it coyotes? Are there coyotes at your heels?
I'm going to have to see how great Siri is. If it puts me over the edge, then I will head on over and pick it up. But it's just cost for upgrade. It's just going to be the difference in between that.
Well, there is someone out there who is not going to have to pay for an upgrade. No, sir, because we are giving it away. You are going to get the milk for free from Tippy tonight. Let me tell you, we had a contest. We wanted you. We didn't really want you to do anything. We were so happy with how awesome our community is, especially our forums, because they're there day in, day out, helping people, telling us about great stories. If someone has an issue, they go there and they get help. We wanted to give something back, so we are giving back an iPhone 4S, and all you had to do was be outstanding in the community. You just had to register for the contest that you wanted to be in it, and then be awesome. And we picked 10 people. Each of them are going to get a case from the Tippy store. Just, and I love you case, because we do. And
Sweet.
One of them is getting an iPhone 3S. iPhone 4S, sorry. That's how tired I am.
That would be hilarious. They're like, what? I get a 3S?
Some lucky winner is getting an iPhone 3GS.
The fake phone from Saturday Night Live.
Woohoo! But it's signed.
So, drum roll, please. I can pass it on to you, Seth. And I'm just waiting for it to load.
Oh, I would have gone further. I'm sorry.
And it says, sorry, no matches. Please use different. What?
It said, sorry, come again.
I wish I had been ready. My drum set's in the other room. I could have done a real drum roll.
Then I was supposed to
that
do
would
all
have been
dramatically. It was going to show up and I was put it on the screen, but now it's my computer. This is just the night of fail. The name, and I'll get it right in a second, but the name was Dark, I believe it was dark_BLU, Dark Blue. So if that was you, congratulations. I'm going to double, triple confirm that in just a second.
It is in honor of the square around Seth.
Yeah. Thanks.
damn it. So congratulations. You're getting an iPhone.
Woohoo! Not a 3S.
No,
a 4S.
Let me lift that one down, please. Can I just have this one moment of dignity between you and me? All right, guys. I think that's it. It was a rough show. It was a rough launch day. At least we didn't let Apple fail alone. We failed right along with them.
That's right. Solidarity.
Solidarity. Woohoo!
We were just showing support.
Seth, where can we find out more about you?
You can find me at Seth Clifford on Twitter, on the Tippy Shows, on Iterate with Renee and Mark Edwards of Bajango. And if you want to check out some of the work we do, please visit nfidm.com. We are Nickelfish, damn it. And we will soon, finally, be relaunching our site. I'm super excited about it.
Nice. I can't wait. I got a sneak preview, Georgia, and it's fantastic. You're going to be so jealous.
We've been working on it constantly this week, and I just want it to be done. I'm so excited.
When it's done, are you going to be doing like shirts that say Nickelfish, damn it?
That's a definite possibility, but we'll talk about that when I see you.
All right. And Georgia, where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on Twitter at GeorgiaTIPB. Say hello if you follow. And you can also find me on the website, www.tippy.com. And, of course, on iPhone Live, iPad Live, and Zen.
Fantastic. And you can find me at Renee Ritchie. You can find all of us at Tippy. You can send us an email at podcast@tippy.com. Or you can leave a comment when the show goes live on the blog. We are here each and every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. British Summer Time. Our companion show, iPad Live, Georgia, is when exactly?
It's same bat time, same bat channel, Sunday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern.
Awesome. And you can find all of our shows, including Zen and Tech, Iterate, Super Functional, Crackberry, Android Central, iPhone Live, iPad Live, WP Central, Palmcast, and all the rest at mobilenations.com/shows. If you haven't already, please go to iTunes. Please leave a rating. It helps more people find out about us, and that means that we have even more awesome people to talk to. Thank you guys very much. Thank you for staying with us with all of these crazy server failures we're having today. We really appreciate your support, and we love you.
We do. Less than 3 all over the place.
Thanks for hanging.
Seth is less for 3ing all over the place. Nice.
That sounded dirty.
Don't make me
It really, really did.
don't make me do the make commands dirty again.
I'm gonna less than 3 all over this chat room.
Yeah.
Oh.
What? Get your mind out of the gutter, Georgia. That's a pleasant sentiment.
I'm a pillow in the gutter. It's not going anywhere.